The 1980s were a decade of bold fashion, hairspray, and a resurgence of horror that captivated audiences worldwide. Basically, whatever you see on Stranger Things now. Between the neon lights and synth pop beats, Stephen King's stories found their way onto the big screen. From the iconic scenes of The Shining to the spine-tingling suspense of Kujo, Stephen King's movies defined the 1980s dark aesthetic. Get your pen and paper out for this one, because we're about to give you an awesome watch list of movies that define the word vintage horror. Alright, let's go. Well, just before we go into the video, we do have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you very much. Now, let's begin. Silver Bullet, 1985. Silver Bullet, a 1985 adaptation of Stephen King's novel Cycle of the Werewolf, tells the story of Marty Kozlaw, a wheelchair-bound boy who becomes the unlikely savior of a small town terrorized by a monstrous werewolf. Director Daniel Attias masterfully captures King's signature blend of suspense and relatable human drama, bringing to life a story that resonates both fear and empathy. Silver Bullet opens in a quiet town gripped by fear after a series of gruesome murders. Victims are found with their throats torn out, leaving the townsfolk in a state of panic and suspicion. Amidst the chaos, Marty, a sharp and intelligent boy, uses his keen powers of observation to determine that the killer is in fact a werewolf. His claims, however, are initially dismissed, with even his mother doubting his theory, attributing it to his active imagination. After all, who would believe a werewolf is just rampaging around their town? But Marty is not alone in his suspicions. His uncle Red, a war-torn Vietnam vet, struggles with his own internal battles, and he believes to share Marty's belief. Together, armed with a specially crafted silver bullet and unwavering determination, the pair set out to uncover the truth and protect their community. Despite his physical limitations, Marty proves to be a resourceful and brave hero, defying expectations and proving that courage knows no bounds. Silver Bullet is filled with unforgettable scenes, including the horrifying transformation sequence of the werewolf and the thrilling chase through the woods as Marty pursues the beast in his wheelchair. While the film received mixed reviews upon its release, it's gained recognition over the years for its captivating story and powerful depiction of a young boy facing his fears to become a symbol of hope in the face of unimaginable terror. The Shining, 1980. Based on the terrifying novel by Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick's 1980 film The Shining is a masterwork of psychological horror. Jack Torrance, a struggling writer looking for inspiration and some alone time in the Overlook Hotel, a remote mountain resort, is the main character of the tale. In an attempt to finally finish his novel and find peace, Jack takes a caretaker job during the off-season in an attempt to escape the demands of his career and his turbulent past. He moves into the remote hotel with his wife Wendy and their young son Danny, with his psychic ability called The Shining. But the Overlook Hotel isn't just any old resort. It has a past filled with ghosts of its previous occupants and a malevolent presence that seeps into the structure itself. Jack's mental state begins to deteriorate due to the hotel's influence as the winter months bring about solitude. He gradually approaches the verge of insanity due to the isolation, the stifling atmosphere of the hotel, and the whispers of supernatural forces. With Kubrick's trademark wide-angle lens and long takes, The Shining is a visual masterpiece that evokes an oppressive sense of claustrophobia. The vast and winding hallways of the Overlook Hotel begin to physically represent Jack's collapsing mental state, entangling him in a labyrinth he's created for himself. Jack's infamous "Here's Johnny" scene, where he crashes through the door with an axe, is a moment of unhinged brutality that highlights the extent of his descent into madness. The film also has memorable moments of suspense, like the scene where Danny rides his tricycle through the halls of the hotel, a premonition of the horrors that await him. Jack Nicholson's performance as Torrance is nothing short of legendary. It's like he was born to play the role. The transformation from loving husband and father to a violent, crazed madman is heartbreaking. Shelley Duvall's performance as Wendy is equally satisfactory. Also, the recent demise of Shelley Duvall has shaken the horror world. Rest in peace, Wendy. Christine, 1983. John Carpenter's Christine, 1983, is about Arnie Cunningham, a timid and unpopular high school nerd who finds solace in a beat-up 1958 Plymouth Fury named Christine. Christine, however, is no ordinary car. Beneath the rusty exterior lies an unnatural entity that craves power and control. This entity is what remains of its previous owner, who was a troubled teenager who met his demise in that very car. Arnie initially draws to Christine's beauty, becoming increasingly obsessed with restoring the car to its former glory. His obsession intensifies, changing him from timid teenager into confident and arrogant bully. As Arnie dedicates himself to restoring Christine, he begins to exhibit strange and disturbing behaviour. His friends and classmates witness his change, becoming increasingly concerned by his aggressive and unpredictable actions. The iconic car, with its menacing crimson glow and uncanny ability to self-repair, becomes a central character in its own right. At some point, the audience realises that Christine is more than just a machine. It's a living, breathing entity with a mind of its own. Pet Sematary, 1989. Mary Lambert's Pet Sematary, 1989, follows the Creed family, Lewis and Rachel, and their son Gage, who relocate to a peaceful, secluded home in rural Maine. Their new home, however, holds a rather worrying secret. A pet cemetery hidden deep in the woods, shrouded in mystery and whispers of ancient ritual. Tragedy strikes the Creeds when a car accident claims the life of their beloved cat, Church. Their grief-stricken son, Gage, is devastated by the loss. Driven by despair, Lewis buries Church in the pet cemetery, and boy was this decision wrong. Pet Sematary has iconic scenes like the burial of Church in the pet cemetery and the climax where Gage, resurrected from the dead, returns as an unalive entity. Gage, now a force of pure rage and malice, unleashes his fury upon his family, driven by the darker forces that reside within the pet cemetery. Creepshow, 1982. Right off the bat, I love movies with short movies in them. George A. Romero's Creepshow, 1982, a humorous anthology film based on Stephen King's short stories, is a must-watch. Creepshow presents 5 distinct and interconnected stories, each chilling and darkly humorous, vignettes that explore the darker side of human nature and the strange and unexpected ways the universe can turn against us. The first part, Father's Day, stars Ed Harris as a bumbling, abusive husband who learns the hard way that his deceased father is not as dead as he thought. The second part, The Lonesome Death of Geordie Verrill, features a mesmerising performance by Stephen King himself as a farmer who encounters a meteorite that unleashes a gruesome alien life form. The third section, Something to Tide You Over, is a story of infidelity and revenge starring Leslie Nielsen as a wealthy man who uses his cunning and his love of the sea to exact revenge on his unfaithful wife and her lover. The fourth segment, The Crate, features a group of scientists who discover a mysterious wooden crate containing a creature that's both horrifying and hilarious. The final part, They're Creeping Up on You, is a tale of a pesticide salesman who discovers that the cockroaches he's trying to exterminate have developed a taste for human flesh. Kujo, 1983. My apologies in advance to all the dog lovers out there. Lewis Teague's Kujo, 1983, transforms a seemingly gentle Saint Bernard into a killing machine. Here we have Donna, a struggling housewife, her husband Vic and their young son Tad. Their peaceful life takes a terrifying turn when they encounter a rabid Saint Bernard named Kujo. Kujo, once a gentle and beloved family pet, has been infected by a rabid bat, turning him into a ferocious and uncontrollable monster. The tension builds as Donna and Tad become trapped in their car with Kujo. The car's engine dies, leaving them stranded in the sweltering heat with the rabid beast determined to tear them apart. Imagine the claustrophobia and helplessness of their situation. Donna, a woman who has been struggling with her relationship and her sense of purpose, must now face her deepest fears and summon her inner strength to protect her son from the creature's relentless attacks. So what do we learn from this movie? That the scariest monsters of all are often the ones we least expect. Cat's Eye, 1985. Another movie with short segments. Sign me up. Cat's Eye, 1985, is an anthology horror film based on 3 Stephen King short stories. It's loosely connected by the presence of a mysterious cat who is a silent observer, much like every other cat in the world. The first part, The Ledge, stars Robert Hayes as a man named Dick Morrison, who's forced to confront his fears when he's tricked into a game of deadly consequences by an evil entity. In the second section, The Ballad of the Little Man, a young girl named Amanda witnesses an act of violence against her mother and becomes the target of a vengeful spirit. The final segment, The Things in the Cellar, stars James Woods as a man haunted by a series of encounters with grotesque and disturbing creatures that emerge from his basement. Cat's Eye received mixed reviews upon release, with critics praising the creative storytelling and its unsettling atmosphere, but criticising the uneven pacing and its reliance on familiar horror tropes. Maximum Overdrive, 1986. Maximum Overdrive is a wild and ultimately flawed sci-fi horror film that envisions a world where machines turn against their human creators. While it was met with critical disdain and commercial failure upon its release, it's worth watching for sure. The premise, while simple, is intriguing. A rogue comet passes close to Earth, emitting a wave of energy that provokes sentience in machines, turning them into ruthless and destructive killers. It kind of reminds me of that one scene in Transformers where a small robot disguised itself as an appliance. Anyway, Stephen King's script struggles to maintain a consistent tone, which ultimately undermines the overall vibe. Maximum Overdrive has a ton of memorable and over-the-top scenes, including a scary sequence where a group of truckers are mercilessly hunted by a fleet of killer rigs, and a confrontation with a sentient vending machine that dispenses a deadly surprise. Maximum Overdrive may be flawed, but undeniably it's an entertaining film. It's rather a film that's found a dedicated audience for its unique blend of action, horror, and weird humour. Check it out if you've nothing better to do right now. Stand By Me, 1986. Rob Reiner's Stand By Me, 1986, based on Stephen King's novella The Body, follows the journey of four boys, Gordy LaChance, Chris Chambers, Teddy Duchamp, and Vern Tessio, as they embark on a mission to find the body of a missing boy in their small rural town. The boys, each struggling with their own struggles and insecurities, form an unbreakable bond. How are these boys so brave? I wouldn't go to the bathroom without the lights on, and I'm an adult. Stand By Me boasts a remarkable cast of young actors. Will Wheaton as the introspective and sensitive Gordy captures the boy's longing for acceptance and his struggle to find the place in the world. River Phoenix as the rebellious and troubled Chris delivers a memorable performance, portraying the boy's vulnerability beneath a tough exterior. Corey Feldman as the eccentric and imaginative Teddy brings a certain energy and charm to his role, and Jerry O'Connell perfectly captures the innocence and earnestness of youth. Some iconic scenes are etched into the collective memory of those who have witnessed it. The boys' journey through the woods, their conversations about their hopes and fears, their shared experiences of loss and discovery, it's moments of pure cinematic magic. Check out Stand By Me if you're missing your old gang. The Running Man, 1987. This one's for the gym bros, as it has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. The Running Man, 1987, directed by Paul Michael Glaser, is a fast-paced, action-packed dystopian thriller. In a future where media manipulation and social control are rampant, Ben Richards, a former police officer, is framed for murder, and he fights for his life in a deadly game show called The Running Man. The Running Man, in this futuristic dystopian society, a totalitarian government rules with an iron fist, controlling media and suppressing everyone. The wealthy elite live in luxury while the masses struggle to survive in a world of poverty and oppression. Ben Richards, a former police officer wrongly accused of mass murder, becomes a fugitive from the authorities. Driven to desperation, he accepts an offer to participate in a game. Arnold Schwarzenegger, in a performance that combines his signature action hero persona with the portrayal of a man just barely surviving, delivers a powerful performance as Richards. His character, a reluctant hero forced to fight for his life and his freedom, is the perfect choice for the central theme of resistance against oppression. The Dead Zone, 1983. David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone, 1983, based on Stephen King's novel, is about Johnny Smith, a high school teacher, as he awakens from a 5-year coma to discover he's developed psychic abilities, a dead zone in his mind that allows him to see glimpses of the future. However, Johnny's new power comes at a price. he's burdened by visions of tragedy and violence. He struggles to control his abilities and to reconcile his desire to help others with the knowledge that he cannot change fate. The Dead Zone features a compelling performance by Christopher Walken as Johnny Smith. Walken's portrayal of a man struggling with his newfound powers and the burden of knowledge is sympathetic. It captures the character's internal conflict and the desperation he feels to make sense of his ability. Children of the Corn, 1984. I hate ghost people, but what I hate the most is scary children killing adults. Fritz Kirsch's Children of the Corn, 1984, is about a young couple, Bert and Vicky, who drive through the heartland of Nebraska, seeking an escape from their troubled past. Their journey takes a turn when they encounter a remote town, Gatlin, Nebraska, where all the adults have mysteriously vanished, leaving the town in control of a cult of children. The children of Gatlin, led by an unsettling young boy named Malachi, worship a demonic entity named He Who Walks Behind the Rose. A deity they believe will bring prosperity and abundance to their community. This demonic force demands the sacrifice of all adults, leaving only children to carry out their twisted and violent rituals. The rural setting, with its vast cornfields and eerie silence, becomes a haunting backdrop for unfolding horror. Personally, I quite like the set. It gives me the creeps. The children's chanting their devotions to their demonic deity, well, that's enough to give anyone goosebumps.
If we can only discuss this, please!
Watch it, Andy, watch it!
Firestarter, 1984. In Mark L. Lester's Firestarter, 1984, a young girl has some extraordinary powers. The story follows Charlie McGee, a young girl with an extraordinary ability of pyrokinesis, the power to control fire. Charlie's powers, a result of her parents' involvement in a government experiment, make her a target for the shadowy organization that created her, known as the Shop. When the Shop attempts to capture Charlie, her parents, Andy and Vicky, must go on the run, protecting their daughter from the pursuit of government agents determined to harness her powers. Drew Barrymore delivers a powerful and unforgettable portrayal of a young girl struggling to control her powers and steer through the path of adolescence. Creepshow 2, 1987. Creepshow 2 from 1987 is the successor to George A. Romero's original Creepshow. It presents 3 distinct and interconnected stories. The first, Old Chief Woodenhead, is all about a memorable performance by Dorothy Lamour as a woman who discovers a mysterious artifact, an old Native American headdress, which brings with it a vengeful spirit. In the section, The Raft, a group of college kids find themselves stranded in a remote lake on a raft, only to discover that they're not alone. Yeah, sucks to be them. The third segment, The Hitchhiker, is a darkly comic performance by Tom Atkins, who encounters a group of menacing and dangerous hitchhikers. The special effects are a mixture of practical effects and stop-motion animation, both gruesome and humorous, adding to the overall sense of fun and absurdity in this film. Marvelous Verdict. Boy, I don't know what's scarier, reading a Stephen King novel or watching a movie made from one of his novels. I guess we'll never know. But if you're checking out decent horror stories from the past, then this list is the perfect one for you. After all, you can never go wrong when the man behind it is Stephen King. What's your favourite Stephen King inspired movie from the 80s? Let us know in the comments down below and share your memories of watching these classic horror flicks. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't done so already. Otherwise, have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.